With all this talk about environmentalism, remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to discover and build new models of business and society, new models that are not just theoretical models, but new models where there are real companies actually doing this. And environmentalism is a great place to look for some of these new models. There are some assumptions, some presuppositions here that I want to be sure we keep in mind. Business, if we're going to solve the environmental problems we have, I think business has to be a part of the solution. We have to be a little bit humble. There's uncertainty. We don't know everything. And furthermore, we have what economists often call bounded rationalities. We're not able to know everything perfectly. The principle I've discovered from reading a lot of the science here is also important, and it's a principle from biology that variation is good. If we have lots of ideas, lots of people trying different things, some of those are going to work. Some of those are going to work big time. Others won't work. Some might even do harm. But on balance, variation is going to be good. Order often emerges out of lots of experiments. It's very hard to plan the right thing to do here where there's so much uncertainty. And there are multiple sets of green values. There are lots of ways to think about green capitalism. Sometimes it's easy to say, I'm greener than you are. I'm more environmentally sensitive than you are. I don't think that leads anywhere that's very interesting. Nobody's perfect. Go back to what we said last week about saints and sinners. Not everything is greenwashing. Yeah, sometimes companies say they're doing things and they don't, and that's greenwashing. Some things are greenwashing, but I think it's a mistake to believe that everything is. We can think about 4 kinds of green values, really, and that'll give us 4 different models of how business can be set in society on environmentalism. The first one's very straightforward. It's about efficiency and the duty to obey the law. The second one is to think about customer service and a purpose aimed at what's best for customers. Customers have green values. A third is to think about harmonizing the interests of stakeholders. We're going to talk more on this next week, but it's generalizing the customer service value to other stakeholders, making companies more sustainable, if you like, for its stakeholders. And the fourth set of values is living in harmony with nature, making companies more sustainable with the planet. And I want to argue that even if you think it's only efficiency and obeying the law that counts, that sets business in society in a way that's important. So there are 4 shades of green that I'd like to talk about, as I call it. 4 shades, if you like, of building the environment into the way we think about our companies. The first shade, legal green. It is based on the idea of efficiency, the duty to obey the law. Legal green says you can craft a green company around the idea of simply obeying the law and using the law to be more efficient and effective. Harvard professor Michael Porter many years ago demonstrated that countries that have fairly strict environmental regulation actually have more innovative companies in them. The regulation, if you like, forces you to be innovative. So rather than seeing it as a cost, you can also see it as an opportunity for innovation. Think about a company like Continental Airlines when they invest in more efficient aircraft to replace aging fleets. Or companies like UPS who wash their planes so that there's less drag on the plane, so they, again, are more fuel efficient, if you like. The second shade of green I want to call customer green. Customer green says I can craft a green company by responding to, maybe even anticipating the green values of our customers. And a really good example of this would be something like the development of the Prius car at Toyota. People want to drive a car that they perceive as more environmentally friendly, as more fuel efficient, as emitting less greenhouse gas. less based on carbon fuels. And Toyota designs a product to do this. Perhaps you may not have heard of this, a company called Coastwide Laboratories. Coastwide Laboratories manufactures Sustainable Earth, and that's a brand of earth-friendly industrial cleaners that's been purchased by Staples, an office products company, to establish itself as a provider of green cleaning chemicals, something that almost doesn't sound like it's possible. But the idea here, and we see this in company after company after company, saying our customers want a cleaner product. They want products that make the environment better or don't harm it. We've got to perform. We've got to have products and services that do that. And that's how customer green comes about. A third shade we could call stakeholder green. And again, we'll talk more about the stakeholder model next week. But the basic idea here is you craft a green company by responding to and anticipating, again, the green values of your stakeholders. For instance, Nike needs to have a sustainable growth business plan. And in the process of creating sustainable business, what they call ecosystems, they involve all their suppliers and stakeholders. Or Starbucks, who operates their business with the belief that businesses can and should have a positive impact on the communities they serve. They engage their stakeholders in thinking about what their overall strategy for the enterprise should be. And there's a fourth shade of green here, and it's one I've called dark green. And the idea is craft a green company by orienting the value creation equation, how we create value for our stakeholders, to living in harmony with the earth. Now that's a little bit vague, but there are lots of ways to do this. It's a company called New Belgium Brewing Company that's alternatively powered. It's a 100% employee-owned brewery. They have a commitment to lessening their environmental impact, to living more with the earth. Or Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps is an eco-friendly soap with a commitment to social responsibility practices and investments in fair trade. There are lots of companies out trying to figure out how to live more in concert, more in tune with the earth, and are trying to develop a darker shade of green. So the argument here is, yes, a green capitalism is possible. It's not only possible, it's happening in the world today. And it's one of the most exciting ways to think about how business is set inside society. What I want you to think about is, what are some examples of shades of green companies from your own experience? And furthermore, what about you? What obligation does a customer have to spend their shopping dollars on green businesses?